and its illegal, and I would argue, and I hope, futile war, it has weaponized energy supply to, there have been many ways they tried to punish Ukrainian society, but those indiscriminate strikes and trying to hit energy supply definitely has been part of it. Hitting the energy infrastructure means that innocent civilians have not only died, but also gone without heating and water at a terrible time of year. The winter is very hard there. And much emphasis has been placed by NATO on the continuation of military supplies. And while new Challenger, Leopard and Abrams tanks provide some hope for Ukraine possibly to repel a spring Russian offensive, it does very little to keep women and children and old people from freezing to death. Now, earlier Lord Collins outlined that the West needs to think long-term, and this is clearly something that it's not easy to do when the events are happening so fast, but we really have to do it. Just as Truman engineered the economic revival of post-war Europe through a comprehensive plan, the West needs to devise a Green Marshall Plan, a strategic plan that offers Ukraine the economic capability to secure its survival. Now, noble lady, Lady Brinton, made a very good speech as well, and she actually stole my thunder, so thank you for that. Because, of course, an energy-secure Ukraine is perhaps Europe's best safety net against future Russian aggression. But the West can't just simply throw money at it and burden Ukraine potentially with debts that it cannot pay in the future. So green planning and investment must be at the heart of Ukraine's reconstruction. Now, Ukraine itself has set a target of sourcing 25% of its total energy generation from renewables by 2023. It currently has 15%. And solar infrastructure projects must be built in southern Ukraine, where solar irradiance is highest, and of course wind farms. Now, I haven't been to a war zone, but I did work as an archaeologist at Axum in Eritrea in the 1990s, during a period when the civil war had paused temporarily. So I know the difficulties that a local population can face after war attacks and the sort of assault that individuals have to face in terms of violence and rape and torture. And quite honestly, the hardships that they face after the conflict has stopped are sometimes almost worse, because you don't have anything else to distract you. And in Eritrea at that time, it was very hard to eat. I wasn't very fat to start with, and I lost half a stone within a couple of weeks simply because we could not feed ourselves. And we were the privileged people. The Eritreans wanted us to be there. They wanted us to excavate Axum and find out more about even more about their heritage. But in fact, we could barely get enough food to survive ourselves. And I was a vegetarian when I went there, but when I left, I had eaten a lot of goat, boiled goat at that, which I would not advise anyone to do. But this is all the infrastructure rehabilitation is put at risk by a major obstacle: landmines. Ukraine is littered with them already. Ukraine's government estimates that 160,000 square kilometres of land is contaminated with landmines. This is absolutely astonishing, and the actual figure is, of course, likely to be much, much higher, because it's difficult to see things that are buried underground. Schools and local infrastructure can't be physically built in such a dangerous environment. It renders any plan to reconstruct Ukraine futile. And as much as the West might fund Ukraine's military defence against Russia's invasion, it simultaneously needs to fund and support the demining effort with equal conviction. The US has already pledged $89 million to demining, but Ukraine needs much more financial support on this front, because demining is labour intensive and extremely expensive. And so, given the enormity of this challenge, demining so far has been more of an afterthought than a central priority. The UK can help this by directing funds and equipment to the demining effort. It should use the training facilities here by the British Army to train Ukrainians in demining procedures, and it should send a fleet of demining machines. And so demining the areas where the urgently needed energy infrastructure can be built should be a priority today rather than later, to help a Green Marshall Plan to be implemented as soon as possible.
Well, my lords, it's a pleasure to follow the noble